Okay, it sounds good. So since it's now just slightly after 6 o'clock, let's start the March meeting of the Historic Preservation Advisory Board. So the March 4th meeting of the Historic Preservation Advisory Board will now come to order. I have my official mallet. I need to announce this meeting will be held virtually, information how to participate, et cetera, since they don't see any members of the public. But if someone comes, they can log in at the Boulder County site, www.boco.org/HPAB. And so the next item, I'm assuming that someone will take care of, and that's a roll call. We've probably gone through that. It's the list of the members minus Marissa, who may make it. And
I think Marissa did make it.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
oh, okay. All right. So we are well covered. So we are missing only Caitlin, who is an excused absence, and Stan Nelson. So the normal reminders: identify yourself, please. Speak slowly. Blah blah blah. All votes and docs will be handled by staff, by others, by Jessica probably, as we've done in the past. Works better than the official method. So the next item is citizen participation for items not otherwise on the agenda. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? I don't really see anybody that I don't know about. So I'll assume that there are no public comments, so that section is closed. Next item, the approval of previous minutes, and it looks like we have not officially approved the minutes for the November 5th meeting, and clearly not for the December 3rd, 2020 minutes. So at this point, I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes or comments if anyone cares to make them.
I'll propose a motion to approve both the November and December meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. So at this point, we'll proceed to the agenda items. There is one docket scheduled for tonight's meeting, which is docket number HP-21-0001, a nice niche.
And so this is Denise Grimm with the land use staff. I'm here with HP 21-0001, a nice niche or niche, aka the quarter loaf. It's at 481 Main Street in the historic zoning district of Gold Hill, and the applicant is Terry Walters. The purpose tonight is to determine if the nominated property qualifies for landmark designation, to determine if the landmark application is complete, and to formulate recommendations for the county commissioners. So the owner, Terry Walters, submitted the application to designate the cabin, and the request includes the cabin and a shed on the property. The log cabin is contributing to the Gold Hill National Register District, which was established in 1989. It's believed to have been built around 1870 to 75, which would make it one of the oldest remaining buildings in Gold Hill. And we actually don't know of any historic photo of the town that doesn't include the cabin in some form. The earliest known owner was John Jester from 1889 to 1899. He was a miner until 1890 and was the county sheriff from 91 to 93. It switched owners several times before being owned by Doris Callahan from 1940 to 1971. And she was a school teacher and is believed to have been a bluebird belonging to the Holiday House Association, which group was a group of professional women from Chicago who vacationed annually in Gold Hill. And during her ownership, it was known as the Quarter Loaf. It was next owned by the Steinman family of Kansas, who renamed it Slow Pace Place. And in 2007, the current owner bought it and renamed it A Nice Niche after a local type of rock. And again, we've got that nice series of photos that we'll go through here in a minute, showing the evolution of the cabin over the decades. The earliest photo shows a simple log cabin with a side gable roof. The rear edition, stone fireplace, and east edition appear in separate subsequent photos, as does the appearance of the shed. Unfortunately, we don't have exact dates on those photos. We only have sort of date ranges on them, but we do have a nice number of photos of the Gold Hill area since it was photographed often. We found that the property qualifies under criteria 1, 4, and 8. It's significant for its association with the development of Gold Hill as a mining community and later as a resort community. It's significant as an example of a rustic log cabin built as a miner's residence and its evolution over the many decades. It's significant as a contributing resource to the Gold Hill National Register District and would be eligible to be part of a local district if we did create a local landmark district there. So staff is recommending that you approve the docket and recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the docket under criteria 1, 4, and 8, and subject to our 2 standard conditions describing when a certificate of appropriateness is needed for work on the cabin. And I'm going to run through the PowerPoint here for you all. So if somebody can confirm that that is showing up here.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So again, the location is 481 Main Street in Gold Hill. And so this is a vicinity map showing where Gold Hill is located in the county. And an aerial photo of the town site. And then here we are between Main and Gold Run and next to Hill Street. And then sort of the collection of historic photos that we have showing an early photo of the cabin there. And then at this point, it's had the rear addition. And this is between 1886 and 1910. And this one's unknown. Sorry about that. That's that earlier one again. And here we've had the fireplace added to it. And by this point, between 1930 and 1969, we've got the east addition and shed. And then just a copy of the early deed and picture of John Jester here. And then we have the current photos. Shows us a nicely maintained cabin there. The east side there with that shed addition. The south elevation. The west side of the cabin. And then this is the shed. A few photos of that. And that's it for the photos. And that is all I have.
So at this point, I would ask if the applicant would like to add anything further to Denise's presentation. And if so, please formally state your name and address for the record. Not a requirement.
Well, my name is Terry Walters, 481 Main Street. I don't have anything to add to the presentation. In fact, I learned a few things. So no, I don't have anything to add.
Thank you. So do board members have any questions?
I do. Are we designating the cabin or the entire parcel?
So in this case, they've asked to designate the two structures as part of the request, the cabin and the shed.
And the shed,
but not
okay.
the whole site.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I had a question on some of the restorations that were done. There was one of them, there's three restorations that are listed on the site, the application, what's it called, the site plan documentation. Number 2 says a back porch was converted to livable space by current owner. This was accomplished by tearing down walls on the east, south, and west sides. Roof line was not altered. Every attempt was made to maintain the exterior character of the house. There's not a date on that, but I'm assuming that was done recently.
I can answer that. I purchased the property in 2007, and that was done immediately after I bought it. So sometime between 2007 and 2008.
Got it. I think my question is why didn't this property come up for eligibility at that time? It seems like it would have met the criteria back in 2007 as well. So I'm curious why we're getting it now as opposed to when changes were done in 2007.
So if something is just in for a building permit review, it doesn't necessarily trigger a landmarking through a building permitting process. So if it affected the exterior, a permit would have been routed to us to look at, but it wouldn't have been a landmark review. It would have just been a building permit review. And if it didn't affect the exterior, we wouldn't have gotten it at all.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
So Terry, this is Jason. Terry, can you tell us a little bit more about what happened there when you made those alterations at the time, shortly after you purchased the property? A little more history on that.
Yeah, when I purchased the property, it did not have. It was a summer cabin. I don't know if Doris Callahan was a summer resident or not, but basically when I bought it, it had been a summer cabin forever. It did not have running water appropriate for winter. It basically had a pipe that ran from the cistern to the faucet. So the primary purpose for converting that space was to bury the water line and then to have an insulated space. There's no insulation in the entire cabin, but to have an insulated space for the water to enter the cabin and not freeze. So that was the primary purpose. And then I chose to make that area into a bathroom with a toilet and a tub It did not have a tub when I purchased it. It did have a toilet, but it was in a closet, so it was not a proper bathroom. So that's why I chose to basically convert the back porch area to an enclosed part of the house.
And I take it that you attempted to use similar materials from, well, I take it you did attempt to use similar materials that were appropriate for the Gold Hill area.
Absolutely. I went out of my way to make it look old. The barnwood that you see on that property or the back area, it was completely torn off. So everything inside is brand new, although that I've made distressed. When you walk in, you'd never guess it was new and insulated and up to code, but it's very old looking. The exterior, I actually purchased an old demolished barn and used that wood to re-side it. So, and it didn't affect the roof or anything like that.
Thank you.
So, sounds interesting. It sounds like you did a pretty good job. Were there any other questions from the board or anyone else? Hearing nothing further at this point, I'll close the public hearing on the docket. And so any discussion among board members beyond what we otherwise had? And if there is none, then I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve docket HP 210001 for landmark status with the under criteria 1, 4, and 8 with the 2 standard conditions.
I second.
So we have a motion for approval and recommendation to the county commissioners with a second. At this point, we would take a vote, and I would ask that Jessica keep track of it in the normal manner.
Sure, I can do a roll call vote for that. Chuck Gray,
Recommend approval.
Don Bird,
Recommend approval.
Marissa Ferreira,
Approve.
Jason Emery,
Approve.
Larry Powers,
I approve.
Liz Gehring,
I approve.
Mark Gerwing,
I approve.
and I think I got everybody.
Sounds good. So docket HP 21-0001 is recommended for landmark status to the Boulder County Commissioners. Thank you all. At this point, we will close that docket and move on to other business, which will basically involve, as discussed earlier, introducing our 2 new members and any other comments or discussion that board members would like to have or other staff presentation, if any.
I'd like to thank Terry for coming and for landmarking this.
Thank you, Terry.
It's my
Thank you,
pleasure.
Terry.
Thank you. Thank you.
I too would like to weigh in that, Terry, you have a wonderful historic building there, and we're delighted that you're willing to landmark it.
Thank you.
So I didn't have anything else, Chuck, besides just the board maybe introducing themselves to the new members and the new members introducing themselves to us. So maybe Chuck, you could kick off the introductions with yourself.
Sure. My name is Chuck Gray, and I've been on the board now for a fair length of time. I joined the same time as Marissa did. I find it fascinating. My background is not actually in historic preservation, except as a sort of a hobby. I've been involved with it for a number of years, kind of through Historic Boulder, et cetera, et cetera. By occupation, I'm a retired industrial electronics engineer.
Who wants to jump in and go next?
Oh, I can. My name is Mark Gerwing. I'm an architect and in Boulder, and I've been on the board for about a year, and was previously on the City of Boulder Landmarks Board, and I do a fair number of historic preservation projects and have a keen interest in it.
How about Jason?
I would like to welcome the two new board members. I've thoroughly enjoyed being on the Historic Preservation Advisory Board. I am a longtime resident of Boulder County. I served as the Boulder County Surveyor for 12 years. Additionally, I own a land surveying company that's been in business in County of Boulder for over 34 years, and I consider it a privilege to be able to participate in all this. So, welcome, new folks.
And how about Larry?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Larry Powers. I guess I've been on the board now 2 years, it seems like. I live in Louisville. I have a background in historic preservation and history and museums and historic sites. I have a degree in historic preservation, one in public history, a doctorate in history, and then in 2 months I'll have another master's in library and information sciences with a special in archives. So I'm staying in historic preservation, just different routes. But worked in museums, historic sites, archives, and I love being a part of the board and hearing about all the projects that you would never think about in the county. That's one of the great things I love about being on the board, is getting to know all the resources that are around us. So thank you for joining the board.
And Marissa?
Sure, I'm Marissa Ferreira. I'm also a lifetime, what's the word? I'm out of words, apparently. It's been a long day. Lifetime, I've lived in Boulder County my entire life. I decided to join the Historic Preservation Board because I wanted to get more involved with my community, and I've always enjoyed history and historic homes. So I thought this would be a fun board to join, and it's been great. Like, I've learned a lot. I don't actually have a background in historic preservation either. I'm an accountant by trade. So I have learned way more about Colorado history and Boulder County history through this job, or this volunteer job, and it's been fantastic. I really enjoy it. So I'm happy to have some new members. Welcome.
Great. Well, why don't we hit up staff now before we go to the new members? And it looks like we have Dale here tonight. So Dale, do you introduce yourself? Maybe.
Yeah, no. Can everybody hear me? Sorry. It's been a long day and my headphones keep dying. So good evening, everybody. I'm Dale Case. I'm the Director of Community Planning and Permitting, and welcome to the new board members, and appreciation for the existing board members and all you do to help further preservation, and all the great work I know that Denise and Jessica and Carol Beam do to help further preservation efforts in the county and keep this a fascinating, interesting place. And yeah, just really appreciate all your volunteer time that you all put into. So thanks for joining us.
Great. So why don't we hit up Carol now?
Well, I'm Carol Beam. I work for Parks and Open Space. I'm the cultural resource specialist, and so I like to say I help the county manage its old things and its real old things. And I partner with Denise and Jessica and community planning and permitting to support the historic preservation program.
Thanks. And Jessica?
Sure, I'm Jessica Fasik. I live in Louisville. I've been with the county, I think 13 years now, working with Denise all of that time, but I started as admin support and then moved into more of a planning part. I do have a master's in historic preservation from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
And Melanie?
Yeah, hi. I'm the admin tech for CPNP, and I also work with Jessica and Denise for historic preservation, helping put on these HPAB meetings. I have my bachelor's, recently graduated with a bachelor's in urban planning. So I did take a class about historic preservation, and I love to be here. I love to be doing it.
And even though I just spent an hour talking to Dawn and Liz, I didn't really explain necessarily who I was. So I'm Denise Grimm, and I'm a principal planner in community planning and permitting. I've been with the county for 25 years and in the historic preservation section for 20 some years. And I have a master's in regional and community planning, but not in historic preservation. I just fell into historic preservation out of interest. And I guess that's all I can really think of. And so, Liz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Liz Gehring. I've lived in Boulder area for 30 years or so, and I just moved out into the county 10 years ago, and I live on near the Eisenberg Ranch, I guess, North Boulder, 5100 North Boulder. So I have an interest in historic preservation as an architectural engineer. I've worked on a couple of different historic projects in the city of Denver, for the city of Denver, but nothing really in Boulder. So I'd like to come back to my roots and hear what's going on in Boulder County.
Great. And Dawn?
Hi, I'm Don Bird. I live up in Wall Street, just down from the assay office. I'm retired for almost 3 years now. I did work for the Parks and Open Space for 38 years. Started out as a logger, eventually got involved with historic preservation through a fellow named Bernie Weisgerber, who worked for the Parks Department. And then I did that for quite a few years, and then I got to be the supervisor of the historic preservation team. And I think those guys are, men and women are great craftspeople, and I got to work with Carol often, and I just enjoyed it. I often thought what a privilege it was to just be out and working on things, and I do miss it quite a bit, but I do like being retired too. So I thought I'd get back into this because I'm very interested in it. And I want to say congratulations to Terry. I know the building somewhat, and it's a great place. So
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. We've got 2 new members with some great expertise, so looking forward to working with you all. Maybe as COVID winds up and winds down, hopefully we can get out in the field this summer, maybe for some field trips and get out and see some sites if this thing ever dies down. And maybe we'll all be able to see each other in person again. But at least for now, we've got the virtual opportunity here, which is working pretty well for us. So I don't know if anybody has anything else they want to chat about.
I would like to mention, I sent out an email looking for a subcommittee meeting the week of the 15th, and I only heard from our 2 new members, and I certainly don't want them to be alone. So if a veteran can volunteer for that, that would be great, but you can just shoot me an email.
Yeah, I can probably do that.
Thanks.
So it sounds good, and I would certainly welcome the 2 new folks. I have met Don Bird in the past. Liz, I had not met, but I'm looking forward to it again when we can possibly meet together. I'm old enough that I've gotten all my shots, but I know that not everybody has.
I've gotten one.
So with that, oh yeah, and by the way, Don, I live about a mile away from you.
We'll stop by.
I'm up on Logan Mill Road.
Oh,
So I'm very familiar with the assay office and so forth. So anyhow, enough of my rambling on. With that, does anyone else have any further business? Hearing none, well, the meeting then is adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Dale.